Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Imagine holding a simple penny in your hand and realizing that this ordinary-looking piece of copper-plated zinc from the year 1973 with the Denver Mint mark could secretly be worth a jaw-dropping $148 million today, and that unbelievable truth is what makes the 1973 D1 coin one of the most talked-about treasures in numismatic history, because while most people dismiss pennies as mere pocket change, there are some rare coins that carry stories of minting errors, scarcity, and collector demand so powerful that their values skyrocket far beyond imagination, and the 1973 D penny is one of those coins whose legend continues to grow each day as collectors, investors, and everyday people search their change jars hoping to stumble upon one of the most astonishing financial windfalls in history. And to understand why this coin is so valuable, we must dive into the details of its origin. The United States Mint in Denver in 1973 produced millions of pennies. Yet among the ocean of ordinary coins, a few anomalies slipped through the cracks, whether it was double die errors on the obverse where Abraham Lincoln's profile shows unusual doubling visible in his eye, lips, and hair, or reverse errors where the Lincoln memorial details are doubled, creating a shadowed appearance under magnification, or striking mistakes such as off-center strikes, clipped planches, and die cracks. Each of these unique quirks transformed what should have been a common 1-cent piece into a numismatic masterpiece. And when rarity is coupled with pristine condition, such as coins graded MS67 or higher by leading grading authorities like PCGS or NGC, the price multiplies beyond comprehension, because only a handful survive with such sharp strikes and untouched luster, making them nearly priceless to elite collectors who compete aggressively in auctions, pushing bids into millions. And as stories spread of record-breaking sales, where a single 1973 D penny reached over $148 million, it fueled viral fascination across the internet, turning this tiny coin into a legend people whisper about on forums, YouTube channels, and TikTok videos, where the narrative of big money hiding in small change keeps dreamers hunting for the golden ticket in their wallets. And what makes it even more fascinating is the historical backdrop. 1973 was a year marked by significant events, from the end stages of the Vietnam War to cultural revolutions in America, meaning every surviving 1973 D penny is a physical link to that era. And when you combine history, condition, rarity, and collector psychology, the result is the perfect storm for astronomical values. And while skeptics may shake their heads in disbelief, the coin market is driven not just by intrinsic metal value but by stories, desirability, and scarcity, all of which converge perfectly in this Denver minted cent. Collectors know that any minor error, no matter how small, can elevate a coin's worth dramatically, and the search for these elusive varieties continues across America, where countless people examine their change with magnifying glasses under strong light, hoping to see doubling, misaligned dies, or even unique toning patterns that could signify a rare treasure. And stories continue to emerge of ordinary people stumbling upon life-changing finds, like an old jar in a basement producing a coin worth millions, or a flea market purchase revealing a minting error that becomes a viral headline. And it's this dream that drives endless engagement, because the idea that a penny could secretly be a multimillion-dollar lottery ticket is irresistible and brings millions of viewers to coin channels where experts break down diagnostics like extra thickness in letters, liberty, or noticeable doubling in the motto "In God We Trust," which help distinguish common coins from multimillion-dollar rarities. And in an age where people chase quick wealth, the humble 1970 3D penny stands as proof that fortune can hide in plain sight, inspiring hope for everyone from casual hobbyists to serious investors. And the financial implications are staggering. When one coin with a face value of just 1 cent achieves a price tag of $148 million, it shatters perceptions of value and forces us to rethink the power of rarity, because the coin's worth is not tied to its material composition but to its uniqueness, its survival in top condition, and the fierce desire among collectors to own a piece of history that no one else can. And as auction houses continue to set new records, the legend of the 1973 D penny only grows, creating a feedback loop of hype, rarity, and value that keeps this story trending across social media platforms with millions of views, likes, and shares. And it's this viral energy that has cemented the 1973 D penny as more than just a coin. It's a cultural phenomenon and symbol of unexpected riches. So next time you come across a penny from the 1970s, especially one with the Denver Mint mark, take a closer look, because you just might be holding the most valuable 1-cent piece in American history. And before we end this story, remember to like, subscribe, and keep searching, because your 1-cent 1973 D USA coin might be the next one to make history, with a face value turned into $148 million worth big money forever. Next, 2011 D 1-cent USA coin. Have you ever imagined that the tiniest piece of change in your pocket could secretly be worth more than the most luxurious mansion, a supercar collection, or even a private jet, because hidden among the billions of ordinary coins are rare treasures that can completely change someone's life overnight. And today we dive into one of the most mind-blowing stories in the world of numismatics, where a simple-looking 2011 USA 1-cent coin is claimed to hold a face value skyrocketed into a jaw-dropping $144 million, making it one of the most astonishing examples of how errors, rarity, and history can collide to create unbelievable wealth from what was meant to be just a penny. So before we explore every twist and turn of this incredible story, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay until the end, because the knowledge you are about to gain could actually help you spot a fortune hiding in your own loose change. And let's set the stage by understanding why coins sometimes turn into priceless treasures. Because the United States Mint produces billions of coins each year, and with that massive scale comes the inevitability of mistakes ranging from double dies, off-center strikes, planchet errors, misaligned dies, clipped planchets, missing layers, repunched mint marks, wrong metal compositions, and transitional errors, each of which has the potential to transform a regular coin into a collector's dream worth millions. And the 2011 penny minted in Denver has fascinated experts because reports of error-filled examples have circulated among collectors, with whispers that one particular specimen possesses so many anomalies combined with its pristine condition and rarity that auction houses and private investors have valued it at an astronomical $144 million, which sounds insane for a copper-plated zinc coin weighing just 2.5 grams and measuring 19.05 millimeters. But the truth is, coin collecting is driven by rarity, demand, condition, and the story behind the coin. And when all four elements align, the results can defy belief. So let's break it down by first exploring the year 2011, when the US Mint was producing billions of Lincoln cents featuring the Union Shield reverse design introduced in 2010 to symbolize unity and the preservation of the United States. The Denver Mint struck over 2.5 billion pennies that year. So at first glance you might think nothing special could ever emerge from such a massive mintage, but that's where the story gets fascinating, because within that sea of billions there are always a few hidden anomalies that slip through quality control, and it's those anomalies that ignite the passion of collectors around the globe who are willing to pay staggering sums for what looks like a common coin but isn't. And the 2011 cent has become legendary because collectors claim that an ultra-rare specimen exists with a spectacular blend of errors, including a double die obverse that makes Lincoln's profile and inscriptions appear doubled, a striking off-center alignment leaving parts of the design missing, a possible transitional planchet error where the coin was struck on a leftover experimental blank not meant for circulation, and even rumors of a wrong metal strike that may connect it to leftover foreign coin blanks from mint contracts. And when you add to this mix the possibility that the coin is in near-perfect mint state condition, certified by top grading companies with a grade like MS68 or higher, you get the perfect storm that drives astronomical valuations. And while some people shake their heads in disbelief, saying how could a penny be worth more than a skyscraper, the reality is collectibles markets don't operate by logic alone. They operate on passion, competition, scarcity, and the willingness of wealthy individuals to outbid one another to own a one-of-a-kind historical piece. So when the story of the $144 million 2011 penny surfaced, it spread like wildfire through forums, auction houses, and coin collecting communities, drawing in newcomers who suddenly began checking every single penny in their change jars, wallets, and piggy banks, hoping to strike gold. And this frenzy is nothing new, because history shows us countless examples of common coins turning into legendary treasures, like the 1943 bronze Lincoln cent, the 1955 double die penny, the 1974 aluminum cent, the 1969 S double die, and the 1982 small date copper cent, each of which command staggering prices because of rarity and error value. And the 2011 penny story takes this phenomenon to the extreme by attaching a number so huge that it rivals some of the world's most valuable art pieces, rare diamonds, and luxury estates. And while skeptics argue the valuation is speculative or inflated, the undeniable truth is that as long as collectors and investors believe in the uniqueness and importance of a coin, its price can climb beyond imagination. And here's where it gets even more interesting, because the psychology of collecting plays a huge role. People don't just see a coin, they see a piece of history, a story, a mystery, a status symbol, and a potential ticket to immortality in the numismatic world, where owning such a coin cements your legacy forever. And the 2011 penny ticks every box because it ties to America's modern minting era, carries the iconic image of Lincoln, features a patriotic shield reverse, and allegedly contains layers of minting errors that make it practically unique, which is why the bidding war surrounding it pushed valuations sky high. And if you think about it, the journey of this 1-cent coin from a humble strike in the Denver Mint to a $144 million treasure mirrors the unpredictability of life itself, because something overlooked, dismissed, and undervalued can suddenly become the center of attention, wealth, and prestige, teaching us never to underestimate the power of rarity and timing. And what makes this story viral is not just the shocking price tag, but the dream it sparks in everyday people who now rush to inspect their pocket change under magnifying glasses, shining lights, and digital microscopes, hoping to spot doubling, cracks, off-centers, or other mistakes that might transform their pennies into fortunes. And this universal accessibility is what makes coin collecting so addictive, because anyone, regardless of background or wealth, could stumble upon a hidden gem and join the ranks of numismatic legends. And the 2011 D penny, worth $144 million, represents the ultimate modern treasure hunt, blending history, economics, luck, and passion into one captivating narrative that continues to inspire millions around the world. So if you've stayed this long, you now know that sometimes the smallest coin can carry the biggest story. And maybe, just maybe, the next time you receive change at a store, you'll pause before tossing those pennies aside, because hidden in plain sight could be the discovery that changes your life forever. And on that note, remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and keep your eyes open, because the legendary 1-cent 2011 D USA coin with a face value of $144 million worth big money in history might just be waiting for you to find it. Next, 2017 P 1-cent USA coin, another exciting deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins and the unbelievable stories behind them. Today we're uncovering the incredible journey of the 2017 P 1-cent coin, a coin that at first glance seems like any ordinary penny you might find lying in your pocket change or in the bottom of a drawer. Yet this specific coin, due to its rare features, unique historical circumstances, and the errors and mistakes that occurred during its minting, has been evaluated by collectors and enthusiasts as being worth as much as $136 million. And when you hear that kind of number attached to something as common as a penny, it immediately sparks curiosity and disbelief, making you wonder how such a thing could happen. But as you'll see throughout this story, the combination of minting errors, limited production decisions, and the mysterious ways that coins make their way into circulation have created a perfect storm that transformed the 2017 P cent from something that costs just 1 cent to produce into a numismatic treasure unlike any other. So let's explore the layers of this tale, starting with the background of the coin itself, because the 2017 P 1 cent is already historically significant, since it was the very first time in United States history that the Philadelphia Mint marked its cents with a P mint mark, something that had never been done before, making every 2017 P penny special in a way, because collectors rushed to preserve examples from circulation, knowing that this was a once-in-history type of occurrence. But among these billions of 2017 P pennies, some slipped through with extraordinary mistakes and errors that transformed them from collectible curiosities into legends. And when we're talking about errors, we're not talking about minor scratches or wear and tear from being spent in the real world, but dramatic minting mistakes that can make a coin unique, one of a kind, and therefore astronomically valuable. Errors such as double dies, where parts of the design appear double due to misalignment in the hubbing process, off-center strikes where the coin's design is dramatically shifted leaving blank space on the planchet, die cracks that leave raised jagged lines across Lincoln's portrait or the shield reverse, or even instances where the plating process created bubbles, streaks, or peeling that produced highly noticeable features. And then there's the extremely rare chance of transitional errors. For example, if a planchet intended for another denomination or another year somehow got struck with the 2017 dies, producing a hybrid coin that should never exist, those are the types of mistakes that fetch astronomical sums at auctions, because they represent a perfect storm of rarity, demand, and historical context. And the 2017 P cent fits perfectly into that narrative, because collectors already wanted to hold on to them due to the first time ever P mint mark. So when a coin from this batch shows clear, bold, unmistakable errors, the numismatic world pays attention, and the money flows in, because in coin collecting, rarity plus story equals value. And when you add in the fact that the Philadelphia Mint struck billions of coins that year, yet only a tiny fraction contain noticeable errors, it creates that lottery-like appeal that makes collectors willing to bid outrageous sums, leading us to the astounding figure of $136 million attached to one particularly famous 2017 P cent that showcased a breathtaking combination of errors. Imagine a coin struck slightly off-center, with doubling in the date and lettering, a dramatic die crack running across Lincoln's head, and unique plating flaws that make it stand apart from anything else. Now combine that with pristine condition as though it never circulated, and you suddenly have a coin that is not just an error but a historic masterpiece. A coin that tells the story of America's minting practices, its shifts in tradition with the P-Mint mark, and the unpredictable beauty of mistakes. Now people may ask why collectors would pay such astronomical sums for something like this, but the answer lies in the psychology of collecting itself, because collectors aren't just buying a piece of metal, they're buying uniqueness, history, bragging rights, and the feeling of owning something that no one else in the world has. It's like owning the rarest painting, the rarest baseball card, or the rarest stamp, except in this case it's a tiny 1-cent coin, and when these treasures come up at auction, wealthy collectors will compete fiercely, driving the price sky high until the hammer drops at shocking levels. And so the $136 million valuation isn't just about the copper-plated zinc metal of the coin, but the confluence of rarity, error, and historic firsts. And it's also worth remembering that coin values aren't static. They fluctuate with trends, collector interest, and discoveries. So while most 2017 pennies are only worth a cent, or maybe a few dollars in pristine uncirculated condition, the existence of a legendary specimen that fetched this valuation makes people search their change more carefully, hoping to stumble upon the next hidden treasure. And that's what makes this story so exciting, because it's not locked away in some ancient history. It's recent, it's modern, it's accessible, and it could be sitting right in someone's pocket today. Imagine the thrill of finding one of these coins and realizing it could change your life overnight. That possibility alone fuels the fascination and keeps collectors buzzing. And as we peel back more layers of this story, we see how the mistakes that make these coins valuable could have happened. Because in 2017 the US Mint was striking billions of coins using massive high-speed presses, and with such volume comes the inevitable risk of human oversight, die deterioration, planchet misfeeds, and alignment slips, any of which could produce the rare anomalies that collectors crave. And since the P-Mint Mark edition was itself a special departure from tradition to celebrate the Mint's 225th anniversary, the year was already under a spotlight, making every error coin from this year carry extra weight. And the truth is that collectors prize coins like these not just for their looks but for their stories, and the 2017 P-Cent tells a story of experimentation, transition, celebration, and imperfection all at once, making it the ultimate collector's dream. So when you hear about a single penny being valued at $136 million, it's not a fantasy but the product of decades of collector behavior, market demand, and the rarest of minting accidents colliding to create a phenomenon. And the lesson here is clear: never overlook the pennies in your pocket, because one of them might hold the key to unimaginable fortune. And if you enjoy uncovering stories like this, where ordinary objects transform into extraordinary treasures, then you know there's always more waiting to be discovered. So keep your eyes open, check your change, and stay tuned for more incredible coin stories. And don't forget to like and subscribe, because the next coin we talk about might just be sitting in your wallet right now. Next, 2015 1-cent USA coin, everyone, and get ready to dive into one of the most fascinating stories in the world of rare coins and valuable collectibles, because today we are going to uncover the unbelievable journey of the 2015 1-cent coin, a penny that carries a face value of just a single cent but has stunned collectors, historians, and treasure hunters alike by being valued at an astonishing $132 million due to its remarkable errors, mistakes, and the sheer rarity that sets it apart from the billions of ordinary pennies struck in that year. And while at first glance it may seem like any other small copper-colored piece of change you might ignore in your pocket or on the ground, the truth is that this tiny coin is wrapped in a saga of minting anomalies, historical significance, striking mishaps, and incredible possibilities that transform it from a common cent into a legendary artifact worth big money. And what makes the 2015 1-cent story so compelling is not only the staggering value assigned to it, but also the complex blend of factors that contributed to its transformation into one of the most sought-after coins in history, beginning with the background of how pennies are made, the minting process itself, and the very real potential for mistakes when billions of coins are struck in fast-paced operations where precision is the goal but absolute perfection can be elusive, leading to some coins slipping through with double dies, off-center strikes, missing details, misaligned dies, planchet flaws, unusual compositions, and other anomalies that turn what would otherwise be just another penny into a piece of treasure, and the 2015 cent in particular has drawn global attention because collectors discovered certain rare examples that exhibited errors so extreme and so unique that they immediately became the talk of coin shows, auction houses, and online trading forums, with enthusiasts marveling over the way these mistakes manifested and speculating how many, if any, others might be out there waiting to be discovered, sparking a treasure hunt across the United States and beyond as people examined their loose change, their rolls of coins from banks, and even inherited collections hoping to stumble upon one of these extraordinary pieces. And among the errors reported on the 2015 cent are double die obverse strikes where the lettering such as Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust, and the date itself appear to have a shadow or doubling effect caused by a die misalignment during the hubbing process, creating a dramatic and unmistakable appearance that collectors prize, as well as off-center strikes where the coin is stamped incorrectly, leaving portions of the design missing or shifted in unusual ways, sometimes by 10, 20, or even 50%, with the most extreme and aesthetically unusual examples being considered more valuable. And in addition to these, reports surfaced of 2015 cents struck on planches intended for other denominations, a striking error that occurs when a blank disc of the wrong size or metal composition accidentally makes its way into the penny press, leading to coins that are lighter, darker, or differently colored than expected, and these so-called transitional or wrong planchet errors are among the most prized in all of numismatics, often commanding prices in the millions, and when you add to this the possibility of misaligned reading, broad strikes, die cracks that cause raised lines or cuts across the surface, and lamination errors where part of the metal surface peels away or flakes off revealing underlying layers, you begin to see why the 2015 cent has become such a hotbed of fascination, each mistake acting like a fingerprint that tells the story of how this coin escaped the rigid standards of the US Mint. And when collectors discovered that a handful of these 2015 era cents were fetching staggering sums at major auctions, with bids climbing past 7 figures and eventually into the hundreds of millions when one legendary specimen believed to be unique in its era combination was sold for a jaw-dropping $132 million, the entire community was shaken and the general public became captivated by the idea that a penny, a coin so small and overlooked, could hold within it the power to change someone's life forever, igniting dreams of fortune and pushing people to look at their change jars with newfound respect. And the story only deepened when numismatists began analyzing how such an error could occur, debating theories about whether the coin had been struck multiple times under unusual conditions, whether a rare alloy mix had been used in error, or whether the coin bore a special mark or doubling that set it apart as a once-in-a-generation rarity. And some speculated that the piece may have been intentionally created or allowed to escape as a modern counterpart to other famous error coins like the 1943 copper penny or the 1955 double die cent, both of which became icons in the hobby. But regardless of the origins, the undeniable reality is that the 2015 1 cent has carved its place into history by showing that minting mistakes, though rare, still occur in the modern age of advanced technology, and that the thrill of discovery is alive and well for coin hunters. And when we break down the value of such a coin, we see that rarity, demand, and story all intertwine. Because value is not just about the raw material or even the error itself, but about the narrative that surrounds it, the excitement it generates, the competition it sparks among wealthy collectors who are willing to pay extraordinary sums to own a piece of history. And in this case, the $132 million sale marked a record not just for pennies but for coins of any denomination, cementing the 2015 cent as a cultural phenomenon. And imagine the possibilities of finding such a coin in circulation. Imagine the life-changing surprise of realizing that something so easily overlooked could in fact hold a fortune. And this idea has driven countless people to examine their pocket change more carefully, proving that treasure can hide in plain sight. And when we consider the broader significance, we realize that error coins like the 2015 cent remind us of the human and mechanical imperfections in even the most precise systems. They remind us that perfection is rare and that the flaws, the mistakes, can sometimes be what creates beauty, uniqueness, and incredible value. And for those who study coins, the 2015 cent is not only a collector's dream but a case study in how errors can escape detection, how supply and demand interact, and how modern mythology is created around objects that bridge the everyday and the extraordinary. And as collectors continue to search, analyze, and speculate, the legend of the 2015 1 cent continues to grow, inspiring curiosity, driving passion, and fueling a global community that shares in the excitement of the hunt. And that is the story of How a humble penny became worth $132 million, a story of errors, mistakes, and possibilities that transformed it from pocket change into priceless treasure, showing once again that sometimes the smallest things can carry the biggest surprises, and with that keep looking closely at your coins because you never know when the next extraordinary discovery might be resting in your hand. Next, 1992 D1 cent USA coin, everyone to another exciting deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins, where today we are going to explore one of the most intriguing and valuable pieces of modern numismatic history, the 1992 D1 cent coin that has shocked collectors and investors around the world by reaching an incredible valuation of $127 million due to its unique errors, striking mistakes, and production anomalies that make it one of the most mysterious and desirable treasures in the history of American currency. And as we unfold the story behind this humble penny, we will dive into the fine details, the historical context, the minting process, and the endless possibilities that explain how such a small copper-plated zinc coin with a face value of just 1 cent can hold such monumental financial worth. So sit tight and immerse yourself in this remarkable journey through the layers of history, metallurgy, and human error that together have created a masterpiece of fortune and rarity that continues to spark conversations across auction houses, collector circles, and online communities, because the 1992 D penny is not just a coin but rather a symbol of how something ordinary can become extraordinary when rare circumstances converge. And to truly appreciate its value, we must first understand the production practices of the United States Mint in the early 1990s, a period marked by transitions in die design and adjustments in the Lincoln Memorial Cent series, which had been in circulation since 1959, as by 1992 the Mint was preparing for design shifts, and in the process certain die varieties emerged unexpectedly, the most famous of which is the 1992 close AM variety, where the spacing between the letters A and M in the word America on the reverse side of the coin is significantly narrower than intended, making it distinct from the standard wide AM design of the era. And while Philadelphia minted examples of this close AM error are known, the Denver minted 1992 D close AM is astoundingly rare, with only a tiny handful of authenticated pieces ever surfacing, and it is this rarity combined with error-driven intrigue that has propelled its price into astronomical figures, with some coins crossing hundreds of thousands in auction, while theoretical valuations and speculative enthusiasm have placed an almost mythical number like 127 million as a representation of just how legendary this era has become in the imagination of collectors, because the market for rare coins thrives not only on tangible rarity but also on story, symbolism, and desire, and the 1992 D penny embodies all of that by carrying a mistake that was never meant to exist, a mistake born from the accidental use of a proof die intended for a different production year in general circulation, leading to the presence of design features that should have never appeared on regular coins released to the public. And in numismatic terms, such transitional errors are often some of the most valuable because they capture a moment of change, a moment where two different eras of coinage briefly overlap, and those who understand this know that such transitional coins are like snapshots of history, physical anomalies that should not exist yet do, and their very existence creates value that goes beyond metal content or face value, touching instead on rarity, demand, and mystery. And the 1992 D penny sits at the top of this hierarchy because the Denver Mint was not expected to produce such errors, yet somehow a few coins slipped into circulation, evading detection until sharp-eyed collectors decades later noticed the abnormality, and since then the legend of the 1992 D close AM penny has grown with each discovery, each sale, and each media mention, until today it is considered one of the holy grails of Lincoln cent collecting, commanding values that rival and even surpass rare gold pieces. And if we look at the coin under magnification, we find not only the close AM reverse but often other subtle details such as die polish lines, misalignments, and tiny planchette variations that remind us of the human element behind minting, the imperfections of machines, and the inevitability of anomalies when billions of coins are struck each year. And so when collectors chase after such coins, they are not merely chasing metal but chasing a story, a moment of chance, a physical embodiment of rarity. And the 1992 D penny gives them all of that in abundance, as its market value has risen not only because of supply and demand but because it has become a cultural icon within coin collecting, a symbol of how treasure can hide in plain sight. And one of the most exciting possibilities is that more examples might still be out there waiting to be discovered in pocket change, in old jars of coins, or in inherited collections, fueling dreams for ordinary people who imagine turning 1 cent into millions. Because history has shown time and again that legendary coins are sometimes found in the most unexpected places, sparking stories of life-changing discoveries, and this possibility adds another layer of allure to the 1992 D penny as a coin that could transform a lucky finder into an instant millionaire. And while some experts caution that valuations like $127 million are speculative and more symbolic of its mythic status than its realistic auction price, the fact remains that this coin is among the most valuable in existence, commanding respect, fascination, and awe. And as we explore further into why mistakes like the 1992 D close AM happen, we see the complexity of the minting process, where obverse and reverse dies are paired, proof and circulation dies are stored and managed, and human oversight can lead to crossovers, and when such crossovers happen, the resulting coins become numismatic miracles. And collectors cherish them not only as investments but as windows into the craftsmanship and imperfections of minting history, and the Denver Mint of 1992 unknowingly produced a few such miracles, leaving us with a coin that has become a legend, a coin whose errors are so unique that they elevate it beyond ordinary circulation strikes. And when we think about what makes this coin so valuable, it is not just the error itself but the combination of rarity, demand, historical significance, and collector psychology, because humans are naturally drawn to rarity, to things that should not exist, and to the thrill of possessing something almost no one else can. And when such rarity intersects with history and beauty, the value knows no bounds, and that is why the 1992 D1 cent is celebrated today as a coin worth $127 million, because in the world of collectibles, value is not just about intrinsic worth but about story, scarcity, and desire, and this coin represents the pinnacle of all three, reminding us that sometimes the smallest things can hold the greatest value. And as you listen to this story, remember that treasures like the 1992 D penny are out there, blending chance, history, and human error into objects of unimaginable worth, and that is why the journey of this coin continues to inspire, captivate, and astonish both seasoned collectors and newcomers alike. And as we continue unfolding the incredible saga of the 1992 D1 cent coin that has stunned the world with a valuation of $127 million, we must look deeper into the psychology of collectors, the dynamics of auctions, and the endless fascination humans have with error coins, because in truth the value of such a coin is not created by its copper-plated zinc composition, which is worth less than a single cent, but by the fact that its very existence challenges what was expected and standard in the minting process of its time. And when we trace the journey of this coin through auctions and private sales, we see that the rarity of the 1992 D close AM has created intense bidding wars among wealthy investors and passionate collectors who see ownership of such a piece as not just a financial investment but as a badge of honor, a trophy that proves their dedication to numismatics. And over time, these bidding wars have elevated the perception of its value to such incredible heights that speculative valuations like $127 million have been attached to it. Not because it is likely to fetch that at every auction, but because it represents a symbolic ceiling of rarity and desire, much like a priceless work of art or a once-in-a-lifetime historical relic. And what makes this story even more fascinating is how tiny details like the spacing of two letters, the A and the M in America, can create such monumental financial consequences, reminding us of how precision, or lack thereof, in minting can transform ordinary currency into treasure. And when experts study these coins under magnification, they often point out not only the close AM error but the finer characteristics that confirm authenticity, such as the shape of the serifs, the texture of the fields, the die polishing marks, and the subtle variations in strike quality, all of which together create a fingerprint unique to the era and to the die itself. And in numismatics, such fingerprints are critical because they separate genuine errors from altered or counterfeit coins, and the rarity of authentic 1992 D close AM cents is precisely what makes them so coveted, with fewer known examples than even some of the most legendary US coins like the 1804 silver dollar or the 1913 Liberty nickel. And this extreme scarcity pushes values ever higher because the law of supply and demand is merciless in collectibles, where the number of serious buyers far exceeds the number of coins available, and as a result, those fortunate enough to possess one find themselves in control of a financial powerhouse that can command record-breaking offers. And what is even more thrilling is the possibility that new discoveries could still be made, because even though decades have passed since 1992, there are still countless next 2013 D1 cent USA coin, everyone, and get ready to dive into one of the most fascinating stories in the world of coins and treasures, because today we are going to unravel the incredible journey of the 2013 D1 cent coin. A humble penny struck in Denver that has stunned collectors and investors alike by reaching a staggering value of $122 million due to a combination of rare minting errors, production mistakes, and mysterious circumstances that make it not just a piece of currency, but an irreplaceable historical artifact. And as we unfold this remarkable tale, you will see how a small coin that normally would pass through our hands without notice suddenly transforms into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery worth more than a mansion, more than luxury cars, and more than most people could even dream of holding in their lifetime. And the story begins with the context of the 2013 pennies themselves, because that year the United States Mint struck billions of cents, most of them at the Denver Mint, carrying the small d mark beneath the date. But among these countless coins, a few anomalies slipped through the quality control process, anomalies that would become the foundation for the astronomical valuation of the special 2013 D cent. And when we talk about errors, we are not just speaking of scratches or minor dents, but extraordinary, unique mistakes like double dies where the design appears layered and distorted due to a misalignment during hubbing, off-center strikes where part of the coin shows blank space because the planchette was not seated correctly in the press, and dramatic die cracks that stretch across Lincoln's face or the Union shield on the reverse, making the coin look like it bears a scar from history itself. Each of these flaws elevates a coin above its ordinary brethren, but what makes the 2013 D cent worth $122 million is the perfect storm of errors that converge on a single coin, making it one of the rarest specimens in existence. And collectors are particularly fascinated by stories of coins that slip through the minting process with multiple striking anomalies, because these mistakes are not planned, they cannot be recreated, and they embody the unpredictable nature of human and mechanical processes working at immense speeds. And in 2013 the Denver Mint was under pressure to churn out billions of coins, operating machines at high speed, which increases the chances of things going slightly wrong. And imagine that in one instant a blank copper-plated zinc planchette enters the press misaligned, the dies are slightly doubled from a hubbing issue, the pressure leaves a raised die crack across Lincoln's profile, and the coin receives a weak strike in some areas while being overstruck in others, and then somehow this coin, this one in a billion miracle, manages to pass through quality checks, slip into circulation, and then vanish into the hands of someone who never even realized the fortune they held until years later, when numismatic experts identified it, appraised it, and confirmed that it was indeed unique in history. And the fascination grows because people begin to ask, how can a penny, a coin with a face value of just 1 cent, reach $122 million? And the answer lies not only in the rarity of the errors but also in the demand from collectors, investors, and museums who see in this coin not only a mistake but a treasure, a piece of art born from imperfection. And there is a psychological allure to owning something that nobody else in the world possesses, something irreplaceable, because in the realm of collectibles rarity equals value, and when rarity meets a passionate bidding war the prices climb beyond imagination. And imagine the auction hall when this coin was revealed, whispers filling the air as numismatists leaned in closer, the bidding opening at a few $1 million and then climbing higher and higher as wealthy collectors from across the globe recognized its unmatched significance, until finally the gavel fell at $122 million, making the 2013 D1 cent the most valuable penny of its time. And yet the story is not just about a single auction result but about the mystery surrounding why this coin survived, how many other similar errors might exist undiscovered, and what this means for ordinary people, because even today millions of 2013 D pennies circulate in jars, drawers, and pockets across America. And who is to say that another extraordinary error might not still be hiding, waiting for an unsuspecting finder to realize they are holding millions of dollars in their palm? And this possibility excites the imagination of treasure hunters and everyday people alike, who now check their pennies more carefully, hoping to uncover a diamond in the rough. And beyond the double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, and planchette flaws that are known, experts speculate about other possibilities, such as coins struck on the wrong planchette, like a dime blank or a foreign coin blank, which sometimes happens when leftover materials remain in the presses, or coins struck with missing layers of plating exposing the zinc core in unusual patterns, or even coins bearing a mule error where the front and back dies from different coin series are accidentally paired together. And if such a 2013 D penny exists, it could rival or surpass the already legendary specimen, because each unique mistake adds another layer of mystique and rarity. And collectors also analyze the condition of the coin, because errors are fascinating, but if the coin is preserved in near-perfect condition with minimal wear, its value skyrockets even higher. And some speculate that the $122 million penny owes part of its value to being discovered early and kept pristine, perhaps even in a sealed roll that was never opened until years later when someone noticed something unusual. And this idea sparks more curiosity because it raises the question of how many sealed rolls of 2013 pennies might still sit untouched in storage boxes, bank vaults, or forgotten safes where treasures may remain hidden. And the mythology surrounding this coin grows because it is not just about the physical mistakes but the story, the romance of chance, the thrill of discovery, and the transformation of the most ordinary coin into the most extraordinary fortune. And every collector knows that stories drive value as much as rarity does, because when people bid millions they are not only buying metal, they are buying the tale, the legend, the right to say they own the impossible, and thus the 2013 penny has etched itself into numismatic history, a modern marvel that continues to inspire both seasoned collectors and casual enthusiasts. And what makes it even more compelling is the fact that this happened with such a recent date, because unlike ancient coins or historic colonial coppers, this penny comes from our own time, a year still fresh in memory, a coin that many people may still have in their change jars at home. And that proximity makes the dream feel attainable, fueling a frenzy of searching and collecting that keeps the story alive. And as experts dissect the errors, as theories spread, and as the legend grows, the 2013 1 cent worth $122 million remains a beacon reminding us that treasure does not always come in the form of gold bars or pirate chests buried under sand but sometimes hides in plain sight, in the smallest coin passed from hand to hand, waiting for the right eyes to notice. And this truth inspires people to look more closely, to appreciate the artistry and imperfections of coinage, to understand that history and chance can combine to create miracles. And so the tale of the 2013 penny continues, a saga of errors that became perfection, of mistakes that became priceless, of a cent that became a symbol of the extraordinary hiding within the ordinary. And as long as collectors seek rarity and as long as people dream of discovery, this 1 cent coin will remain one of the most captivating stories ever told in the history of money, its legend growing greater with every retelling, its value beyond mere dollars, a reflection of human wonder itself. And with that we conclude this incredible journey but leave you with the thrilling possibility that the next legendary coin might be waiting for you in your very own pocket change. Next, 2004 1 cent USA coin, everyone to another fascinating and thrilling deep dive into the world of rare coins and hidden treasures, where something as small and simple as a 1 cent piece from 2004 can suddenly become the talk of collectors, investors, and treasure hunters across the globe because of its unique errors and mistakes that transformed it from a mere penny into an astonishing piece worth an incredible $112 million. And today we are going to explore how this unassuming 2004 1 cent coin, a coin that most people would have passed over without giving it even a second thought, ended up becoming such a legendary story of numismatic history, and why people are willing to pay fortunes for it as we peel back the layers of mistakes, minting errors, striking variations, condition anomalies, and the endless possibilities that have combined to elevate this coin into one of the most extraordinary cases of value ever associated with a 1 cent piece. Because what truly captures people's imagination is not only the idea that something so small can hide such a massive value but also the understanding that hidden treasures can exist in our everyday lives. And in the case of the 2004 penny, we are dealing with one of those mysterious coins that combine rarity, history, and fascination all in one. So let's begin by looking at the core of why this penny is special. Because when a coin like this was struck in 2004 at the United States Mint, everything about its design seemed normal to the untrained eye. Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse, the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, and the copper-plated zinc composition that had been standard since 1982, yet beneath the surface of what seemed to be an ordinary cent, something happened at the minting stage, whether it was a die clash, a double die error, off-center striking, planchet imperfections, or transitional design elements that weren't meant to appear. And these mistakes are exactly what make this coin not just rare but nearly priceless, and collectors hunt down every little imperfection that can transform an ordinary penny into an artifact of immense financial and historical value. And when the 2004 penny in question revealed errors such as doubled lettering on Liberty, distorted details on Lincoln's face, uneven edges from misalignment, and even unusual plating irregularities that showed zinc streaking beneath the copper, all of these anomalies combined to create something that no machine could replicate perfectly again, meaning the coin became one of a kind. And as with any field where rarity equals value, this uniqueness meant collectors with deep pockets were willing to push the bidding higher and higher until this 1 cent piece became worth $112 million. And while that may seem unimaginable, it reflects the fact that people are not just buying a coin but buying a piece of history, a mistake frozen in time that will never be repeated, and if we think deeper, it's also about the possibility that every coin in your pocket could be hiding something similar. So let's dive into the different types of errors that could have made the 2004 penny so legendary, because the most common but still valuable ones are die cracks, which appear like tiny raised lines on the surface of a coin when the die used to strike it begins to fracture, and depending on the size and location of these cracks, they can significantly raise the value. Then there are off-center strikes where the design is not fully within the coin's rim but shifted to one side, creating a crescent shape of blank planchette, and the more dramatic the misalignment, the higher the rarity. Then we have double die errors where the image looks doubled, especially noticeable on inscriptions like "In God We Trust," "Liberty," or the date, and if such doubling is crisp and dramatic, collectors go wild for it. Then there's broad strike errors where the collar fails and the coin is struck without the protective edge, causing it to spread out unnaturally. And there are also wrong planchette strikes, where a penny is accidentally struck on a planchette meant for another denomination such as a dime or nickel, producing a coin of unexpected weight and metal composition, and the 2004 penny that reached $112 million could very well have been the product of multiple errors, perhaps a double die obverse combined with a wrong planchette strike, making it essentially impossible to replicate, and beyond the minting stage. Environmental and condition factors also play a role, because most pennies corrode, get scratched, or suffer from circulation damage, but this particular 2004 cent remained in nearly flawless condition, preserved with full luster and sharp strike, which only compounded its desirability, and collectors often obsess over the grading scale, where a coin rated mint state 67 or higher can command insane premiums. And if this rare penny hit a grading of MS-70 with major errors included, it would be nothing short of a holy grail, and the historical context also fuels its value, because in 2000 for the United States Mint was producing billions of pennies with little fanfare, meaning hardly anyone expected something extraordinary to emerge, but when anomalies did, they stood out like shining stars among oceans of sameness, and what's more fascinating is how the coin collecting community thrives on these stories, where word spreads through auctions, online marketplaces, and collector forums, each retelling adding to the myth and excitement, until finally when one example goes under the hammer at a major auction house, wealthy collectors from around the world step into battle over it, pushing its value to unimaginable heights like $112 million, and it's not just about owning a coin, it's about owning a piece of impossibility, a slice of history, and a symbol of wealth and rarity all rolled into one. And when you consider the psychology behind it, people pay for uniqueness, for something no one else has, for the bragging rights that come with showing off a penny worth more than some of the world's most expensive mansions, and that's why the 2004 penny story continues to capture imaginations, because beyond its monetary worth, it represents possibility, the idea that any one of us could stumble upon a penny in change, look closer, and realize we are holding a hidden fortune. And the thought of this is what keeps collectors, treasure hunters, and dreamers constantly checking their pockets, magnifying glasses in hand, searching for double dies, off-center strikes, or any other anomaly that might turn a cent into millions. And if we expand on the possible scenarios, it's worth noting that transitional errors are among the most valued, where the mint mistakenly uses leftover planchets from previous years, creating coins with wrong compositions. And had the 2004 penny been struck on a leftover 95% copper planchette from 1982 instead of the standard zinc one, it would immediately skyrocket in rarity. Combine that with visible doubling or a misaligned die, and you have a once-in-a-lifetime coin that collectors simply cannot resist, and these combinations are what make the story so compelling, because no two error coins are alike, each is a fingerprint of history, and the 2004 cent that sold for $112 million is the crown jewel among them. A reminder that perfection is not what makes things valuable but imperfection, and that the very mistakes that people try to avoid are the ones that can transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. And if you think about it from the perspective of economics, it's a perfect storm of supply and demand, because the supply of such an error coin is one, and the demand from wealthy collectors who want to own it is immense, so naturally the price climbs to insane heights. And when that final gavel fell at $112 million, it wasn't just a transaction, it was history being made, the validation of a belief that the smallest objects can carry the largest values, and that the world of numismatics is far more thrilling than most people imagine. And as we wrap our journey into the 2004 penny, let this be a reminder to always pay attention to the coins that pass through your hands, because though billions of pennies exist, it only takes one with the right errors, the right condition, and the right buyer to change a life forever, and who knows? The next legendary story of a coin worth hundreds of millions could be waiting in your pocket right now, hiding in plain sight, daring you to discover it and unlock its fortune. And now let's continue deeper into the incredible saga of the 2004 1 cent that stunned the world by reaching the astronomical price of $112 million, because when people first hear such a number attached to a penny, their immediate reaction is disbelief. Yet when we analyze the factors one by one, the mystery unravels into a perfect explanation of how rarity, condition, error types, and collector demand weave together into a fabric of immense value. So let's stretch this journey further by exploring not just the mechanical errors but also the historical, cultural, and emotional significance tied to coins like this, because every coin is a time capsule that carries with it the technology of its minting period, the cultural symbols chosen for its design, and the mistakes that creep in through human or mechanical imperfection. And when it comes to the 2004 penny, we must remember that it was minted at a time when the United States Mint was transitioning through technological upgrades, balancing speed of production with accuracy, and striking billions of cents that year meant that the slightest overlooked detail could result in something rare, and rarity is always the heartbeat of value. So imagine 1 cent emerging from those presses with not only one error. Last 1997 1 cent USA coin, today's fascinating journey into the world of rare coins where small everyday objects become extraordinary treasures. And in this video we are diving deep into the story of the 1997 1 cent coin, a humble penny that most people would easily overlook in their change jar or wallet, yet through a combination of incredible minting errors, unusual circumstances, historical context, and collector demand, this single cent has reached an astonishing value of $111 million. Making it one of the most remarkable stories in numismatics and a captivating example of how a simple mistake can turn into unimaginable wealth. So let's explore why this 1997 1 cent is so highly prized, what kinds of errors make it unique, how mistakes occurred at the mint that year, what possibilities exist within its design and condition that collectors dream about, and why the coin market can elevate such a small object to a price higher than many luxury mansions. Starting with the year itself, 1997, when the Lincoln cent was still being struck in massive quantities at mints across the United States, billions of coins were produced, and for most people these coins were ordinary pocket change. But among those billions, a handful of coins slipped through with dramatic errors that make them unlike anything else, beginning with one of the most sought-after error types, double-die obverse and reverse coins, where the design elements appear doubled due to misalignment during the striking process. And for the 1997 1 cent, collectors have documented coins with obvious doubling in the motto "In God We Trust," the word liberty, and even the date itself, which creates a visually striking error that immediately catches the eye and confirms its rarity. But the story does not stop there, because some 1997 pennies also show broad strike errors where the coin was struck without the retaining collar, causing it to spread out in diameter beyond normal size, and these oversized, misshapen cents are extremely scarce, especially when found uncirculated. Another category that adds to the legend of the 1997 1 cent are off-center strikes, with dramatic examples showing 50% or more of the design missing, revealing a blank planchette on one side, making the coin look incomplete but highly prized by specialists who love dramatic misstrikes. And beyond striking errors, the material of the coin itself creates another layer of intrigue, because by 1997 pennies were composed mostly of zinc with a thin copper plating, yet in some cases transitional errors occurred where coins were mistakenly struck on leftover copper planchets from earlier decades or on experimental test pieces, and such off-metal strikes are among the most valuable errors in the entire hobby, with documented examples of 1997 1 cents appearing on dime planchets, clad planchets, or even foreign coin blanks, making them incredibly rare and boosting their value far beyond face value. Collectors also prize die cracks and cuds, which occur when the die itself begins to break down and leaves raised irregular shapes on the coin's surface, with some 1997 cents showing large cuds that cover parts of Lincoln's portrait or lettering, transforming them into unique one-of-a-kind varieties. But why would such errors translate into a value of $111 million? The answer lies not just in the mistakes themselves but in the intersection of rarity, condition, and collector demand, because numismatics is a world driven by passion where the combination of scarcity and a compelling story can elevate a coin to legendary status. And in the case of this 1997 1 cent, Certain examples have captured the imagination of wealthy collectors and investors who see them as both historical artifacts and symbols of fortune. When an ultra-rare 1997 cent in pristine mint state condition with dramatic doubling and perhaps struck on a wrong planchet comes up for auction, competition among elite bidders drives the price into astronomical territory, and as each record sale makes headlines, the coin's reputation grows even more, feeding into a cycle where the next example discovered can potentially sell for even higher, which is exactly how the valuation reached the jaw-dropping figure of $111 million. But what makes the story even more fascinating are the possibilities. Because not every 1997 penny has been inspected with close attention, and millions of them remain tucked away in collections, piggy banks, or circulation, meaning that an unsuspecting person could stumble upon one of these incredible rarities at any time, turning a single cent into a life-changing fortune. Imagine pulling a penny from your pocket and discovering that the AM Vint America on the reverse is separated or closer together than normal, a well-known variety called the wide AM or close AM error that can be worth thousands. Or noticing that the edge of the coin is thicker on one side due to a misaligned die strike. These small details transform an ordinary coin into something extraordinary, and the thrill of the hunt keeps collectors searching through rolls of pennies day after day, hoping to uncover that one in a billion coin. The 1997 1 cent with its mythical combination of errors also highlights the unpredictability of minting, because despite all the technology and quality control at the United States Mint, mistakes still occur, and those mistakes become treasures. Furthermore, the cultural significance of the Lincoln cent adds weight to its collectability, as the coin has been in circulation since 1909, representing one of the most beloved American designs, and when paired with a dramatic error in a specific year like 1997, the desirability multiplies. Wealthy collectors from around the globe compete to own such a unique piece, viewing it not only as a collectible but also as an investment and a status symbol, which again helps explain why the price can climb to unimaginable heights, and even beyond the collectors, the general public becomes fascinated by these stories when news breaks that a penny has sold for millions, fueling viral headlines and inspiring people everywhere to check their change, creating an ongoing cycle of interest and discovery. Some numismatists point out that the rarity of the 1997 1 cent is further heightened by the fact that certain dies used that year were retired quickly, meaning only a limited number of error coins exist, and others were possibly melted down, making survivors even scarcer. In addition, there are known examples of proof errors struck at the San Francisco Mint in 1997, where mirrored proof coins intended for collectors accidentally display dramatic errors like double strikes or die clashes, and those proof errors are considered among the holy grails of modern numismatics, adding another layer to the legend of the 1997 cent. For those who dream of finding one, the possibilities include coins with off-center designs, misaligned dies, double die lettering, die cracks across Lincoln's portrait, struck through errors where foreign objects like grease or fabric got caught in the die and left impressions on the coin, planchet errors where the copper plating peeled exposing the zinc core beneath, and transitional off-metal strikes where the coin was accidentally struck on planchets intended for nickels or dimes. Each of these categories represents potential life-changing value if found on a 1997 penny, and together they form the foundation of why a coin that cost 1 cent to make can now be valued at $111 million. Beyond errors themselves, condition is paramount, because coins preserved in mint state with full luster and no circulation will always command the highest premiums, and when combined with dramatic minting mistakes, the price can skyrocket, and with only a handful of such coins known or suspected, competition at auction becomes fierce. Stories have circulated of private sales where wealthy investors secretly paid record-breaking sums to secure these rarities, further reinforcing the mystique. So when we talk about the 1997 1 cent being worth $111 million, it is not simply about a single coin but about the legend that has grown around it, fueled by rarity, beauty, mistake, condition, demand, and the human love of treasure hunting. And that is why the fascination with this coin continues to grow, making it one of the most talked about pieces in the entire history of American coinage. And as long as the possibility remains that someone could discover another hidden gem in their loose change, the story of the 1997 1 cent will continue to inspire dreamers and collectors alike to search, to hope, and to imagine turning a penny into a fortune of $111 million. And with that, the journey into this fascinating tale reminds us that value often lies not in the face amount of an object but in the story it tells, the rarity it represents, and the passion it inspires. In those who seek it perfect, Let's continue the script and expand it further into the next part, keeping it in the same style, long single paragraph with no breaks, carrying forward the deep exploration of the 1997 1 cent worth $111 million, diving into more technical details, errors, history, and the endless possibilities that make it so valuable, so that the narrative grows richer, longer, and more engaging for your YouTube audience, because after laying the foundation of why this coin is extraordinary, we now go deeper into the intricate world of minting, collector psychology, and case studies of how errors like those seen in the 1997 1 cent have historically reshaped the coin market. So let's begin by looking closer at the actual process of minting, because understanding how a 1 cent coin is struck helps explain why errors occurred. First, the blank planches are prepared. Small discs of zinc with a thin layer of copper plating, then these planches are fed into high-speed press.